Hello everyone. Today we're taking a look at a Braille Lite 40, of which I can only find one video on YouTube. Very fun. Despite this being a very popular note taker, it seems to get little coverage nowadays, which is a shame because given the right kind of cables and stuff, you can do a lot. Right now it's in a leather case, and just a warning, the battery is not calibrated. So it will say 0%, but it's around fully charged. Alright, so the case is made of pretend leather because of course it is. So you open it up and it's got a pocket on the inner lining, and it's obviously made from Velcro. So this is the leather case. It has D-rings on each end of the front as well as the Velcro strip. Now, I really like this case for protection, but for the sake of this demonstration, I'll take it out because I don't like cases on things when I'm trying to show people them. Alright, so I took the unit out, and for those unfamiliar, the Braille Lite 40 is a Braille note taker made by Blazie Engineering around 1995 and 1996. Now, this was a very well-known note taker, but there were some other ones. My apologies. But there were some other ones that people remember more fondly. I don't know why, but that's just how it is, I guess. Alright, so this note taker doesn't run Windows CE like the Braille Note does. It doesn't run Linux like the Braille Plus does. It doesn't run Android, because of course it doesn't. Android wasn't a thing back then. I think they made their own operating system based on C, or just maybe just machine assembly. I ripped one of these things apart, and it appears to have some sort of Zilog Z80 processor, maybe at 20 megahertz, which essentially makes it as powerful as a TI-84 Plus, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I don't know. And frankly, I don't care. So, if we take a look at the front panel, it is totally blank, and this whole unit is about an inch and a half or 2 inches thick. Those familiar with the Braille Note M Power or Braille Note Original from Pulse Data will notice that it is around the same thickness, but it is longer and it is shorter from front to back. So the on the bottom there's 4 rubber feet, one in each corner. Then again, the front panel, there's nothing. Then if we look at this thing head on, at the bottom of the top face is the Braille display. This is a 40-cell Braille display. Each cell has 8 dots, and it has a revolutionary thing called cursor router keys. I say that because other versions of the Braille Lite did not have cursor routing keys. How would people do anything on those? I don't know. Above that is a screw in the center and a left and right advance bar on one side and a left-right advance bar on the other side. Now, I think these do the same thing. They're just 2 of them for convenience. After that, there's an upward slope, and then there's the space bar, which is a bit wider than all the other keys, and is the only one to use a metal stabilizer bar thing, which is very interesting. Whereas all the other keys, I'll show you in a sec, they just use their normal switches. To the left of the space bar is going to be raised text, it says it says Braille Lite 40, and the 40 is written in like fancy text or something like that. I don't really understand why. Then on the right of the space bar, it says Blazie Engineering, which is the company that made it. And I think the tag is gone at the back, but it would usually say the serial number, Blazie Engineering, uh, uh, something Hills, Maryland, I think, is where they were based, and made in USA. So, past the space bar and writing, there is the 8-dot keyboard. It should be noted that this is an 8-dot keyboard as opposed to a 6-dot keyboard, because those familiar with Braille and Speaks or other kinds of Braille Lite will notice that it has the dot 7 and 8, which is used for entering computer Braille as well as being your backspace and enter key, respectively. Whereas the Braille and Speaks and other things like that, they had specific chords you had to push to emulate pushing a backspace key or a return key. So having all 8 dots is very helpful, especially when entering either, I don't know, computer Braille or writing emails and stuff. Email addresses, that is, because this has no connectivity. I'll get to that. To the left of the dot 7 key and a little bit up is a speaker, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slits in it. And the speaker is around 1.5 inches wide on the inside. And it should be noted that there's only one speaker. But as you'll soon hear, that's all that's needed, because the voice, it should not be heard in stereo. Now, to the right of the dot 8 key and a little bit up, adjacent to where the speaker is a big embossed letter B. B for Blazie, B for Braille, B for Braille Lite, B for blind, I don't know. And so that's all on the top face. Now, taking a look at the back face, from left to right, in the middle, you have I think someone told me it was an LVS, but I thought it was a maybe 34-pin Centronics port, and it's a parallel port, and that's for connecting printers. Then there's a reset and restart key to unfreeze the unit, and that's it. On the left side, there is an 8-pin mini DIN serial port like those found on older Apple computers past the Macintosh Plus, I believe. And that's your serial communications port. So there was actually an optional disk drive accessory you could buy for this guy. I don't have the cable for it, but I do have the disk drive, which I will show later. You could also use this as an external Braille display and speech synthesizer, which is pretty nifty. Then to the right of the 8-pin serial is a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and that's it. Finally, on the right side, there's another 8-pin mini DIN serial port. There's the on-off switch with on facing away from you and off facing towards you. It is currently off. Then the power input. Now, this is hard to find online, but I'll clarify this for everyone. This uses a 12-volt 1-amp charger with exact dimensions. It has a positive center instead of a negative center. Having a negative center charger could fry it, so be careful. It uses a 12 volts 1 amp charger with dimensions of 2.5 by 5.5 millimeters. Those can be found online pretty cheaply, and or you may already have some lying around your house. And since it's a normal barrel plug, again, they're very easy to come by, but don't use the wrong charger with it. And also, there's not like a manual online for this specific one. So, an interesting fact actually, the same charger that this uses would also theoretically be compatible with the Pacmate series of note takers. It would also be compatible with the Braille Note from Pulse Data International and the Braille Note M-Power. Anything past that uses less voltage and a different connector. So if you have a charger for this, it will serve you well, because then you can charge up all different kinds of note takers. One more thing about the battery and charger is that if you took out the battery, it wouldn't turn on. It needs the battery to complete the circuit or something like that, something magic, I don't know. But you need a battery in there for it to turn on. Now, turning the unit actually on, finally, again, you flip the power switch, which is on the right. You flip that away from you.
Braille Lite for theoretic resources, 1 page, Braille file.
Okay, I'm going to do a soft reset, which is done by pushing space with dots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Warm reset, please verify.
It said warm reset, please verify. So you push it again.
Help is open, okay.
Okay, so now the volume is down a little bit, and now help is also open. So the help file is kind of your base file. There's no main menu, there's no keyword menu, there's no media menu. It's very parameter based, and if you get a menu, then great, but this is able to be operated with just some chords and some hotkeys, which is very nice, but it can be kind of intimidating. I know it took me a while to learn everything on this, but it still was easy, relatively easy to do, compared to the Braille Note Touch. Anyways, I digress. So there are a whole bunch of chords on here. Like push the space bar with dot 1 to go up a line, or space bar with dot 4 to go down a line, or space bar with dot 6 to move a character, and space bar with dot 3 to move another character to the opposite direction. And a lot of the commands are symmetrical, a lot of those navigation commands. I don't have time and I don't have sanity to go through all of those, but a lot of the commands are the same across multiple Blazie note takers, regardless of the addition of the 7 and 8 keys. And I already posted a 45-minute help file video of a Braille and Speak 2000, which has nearly identical keyboard commands. And the file has nearly identical content, because this does have the 9-page help file on it. So, right now the Braille display has OK on the left side of the display. And so, if I push Z chord, which, Z.
Abort, spell periodic, flash file, 86 pages.
What is it doing? 1 second. So, that's something I'll get to later. So for now, let's open the help file by pushing a TH chord, space with dot 1, 4, 5, 6.
Help is open.
Help is open. So now I should be at the top of the file. Yes. And top of the file is just like most note takers. It's an L chord, or space 1, 2, 3.
Top of file.
And let's say you want to read all. You push an ER chord, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 with space.
Braille Lite 40 help file. Sugar 2002/2003 star writing functions backspace the dashboard uppercase U dashboard followed by character or dot 7 with desired character left parent computer Braille right parent uppercase
Yeah, so it just reads this, and if you go to the bottom, which is 456 chord, and scroll up a few lines, something cool is that at the very at the very end of the file, there's a section called
if you ever have to initialize the flash system or accident.
oh
Please let us know your comments and suggestions concerning this product. Freedom Scientific 118003 Estate North North Estate Petersburg FL 33716 Sales left paren 800 right paren 444-4443 or left paren 727 right paren 803-8000 Sales fax left paren 727 right paren 803-8001 Technical support left paren 727 right paren 803-8600 if returning a product for service, please call technical support at left paren 727 right paren 803-8600 for Aruba left paren return merchandise authorization right paren number -mail notetakers at Freedom Scientific.com worldwide website http://www.freedomscientific.com.
So that long blurb was basically, thank you for buying the unit, give us more money. Just kidding. But you may notice that the body says Blazie Engineering, but this says Freedom Scientific. And that's because Freedom Scientific bought up Blazie, but they still supported these old note takers up until the early to mid 2000s. Now, this specific device is on the June 5th, 2003 revision, which, to my knowledge, is the latest revision for these classic note takers, excluding the double talk units and the Millennium series. Now, there are several things to show off here, and the first thing I will do is show off the status menu. So when you do that, I'll go to the top of file again, but you can do this from anywhere. When you do the status menu, you push space with ST chord or space with 434.
Status menu, interactive off.
So status menu, interactive off. Interactive is going to be a way for you to hear the line you're typing while you type it. I don't really understand, but I leave that off usually. But that can be toggled from anywhere with a G chord. The next item is, and I'll go through all of these. I won't have an explanation for all of these because they have pretty self-explanatory names. Also, they're covered in the help file quite extensively. So the next item is
Serial port off.
Serial port off. Remember those 8-pin mini DIN ports that seem kind of useless? Yeah, those are the serial ports, and you can toggle them on and off for when you want to transfer data or use it as a synthesizer. And here are some serial parameters. It should be noted that you can move between each section of the status menu with space with dots 4-5 or space with dots 2-3.
Serial parameters, interactive off.
Yes. So right now we're in serial parameters, but if we push space with dots 2-3,
Braille display parameters, Braille display on.
Braille display parameters. So it is divided into sections. So let's go back to serial and quickly go through these.
Serial port off. 9600 baud.
Yeah. 9600 baud. It goes as low as 150 baud, but it goes as high as a whopping 38,400 baud, which is so fast.
Low parity. Chef duplex. 8 data bits. 1 stop bit. Software handshake.
Software handshake. So this is the handshaking settings for serial. It has software handshake, as you just heard, as well as
Space hardware handshake. Space no handshake.
okay, and then I will switch it back to software handshake.
Space software handshake.
As you can probably hear, I'm changing these settings with the space bar, although each setting has its own hotkey or chord that you push, and then that has further keys that you can shortcut to each item. However, this is one of the few menu based things.
Line feed when transmitting on.
I think this is because it's not a DOS based operating system, so it uses different characters and symbols when you're transferring files, and that may cause problems. I don't know though.
Braille translator off.
Braille translator. It's off right now, and so everything's either going to be computer Braille, I think, or grade 1 Braille. If you toggled this on, it makes the help file behave weirdly, but you can make this file specific. This supports grade 1 and 2, as well as computer Braille.
Cursor tracking on.
Cursor tracking. I believe it's where you can move the cursor around without moving your view in the document. I do not know though.
June 5, 2003 revision.
Okay, June 5, 2003 revision. So, like I said, this came out in 1995, 1996, and it got supported up to June 2003. Wait, an assistive technology low vision company actually supporting their devices and adding new features up until around 7 or 8 years after it got released? What? Let's see the Braille note do that. Nuh-uh.
Speak windows, lines or sentences, lines.
Speak windows, lines, or sentences. That's for when you're navigating up and down lines. That changes how much it talks.
Reject ornamentation characters off.
I don't know what this one is because I don't use it.
Skip length lines on.
This is easy to do. I believe it skips lines on the Braille display to save space.
Distinguish case or in find off.
I won't go through all the rest of these because they're pretty self-explanatory, but if anyone has any questions, even years down the line, feel free to leave a comment and I'll probably be alive enough to answer. So,
Battery used 0 hours 37 minutes. 0% not charging. Repeat column 0. Printer is Epson compatible.
okay, so the printer is Epson compatible message is going to be there we go. This is going to be either Epson compatible
Space printer is image writer.
or Apple Image Writer
Space
or
printer is HP.
HP. So I'll set it back to Epson.
Space printer is Epson compatible. Print line length 75.
And these are just more print parameters.
Print left margin 10. Print page length 60. Print top margin 6. Braille line length 33. Braille left margin 1. Braille page length 25.
And this is for embossing files. This is for, embossing files. You could connect it to different embossers. Blazie and Freedom Scientific actually made their own called the Braille Blazer, and it had 2 revisions, and it was very cool. It had a lot of the same features this thing does, except for obviously the note taking.
Braille top margin 1. Window length 80. Interactive timeout 0.
Interactive timeout. I don't know what this is doing here. I think it's related to serial.
Double space off.
Double space. For the actual text you print.
Voice inflection on.
Okay, voice inflection. You might believe that, voice inflection should be off because it sounds like a horrible robot out of the 1970s. But in fact, voice inflection is on. Listen.
Space voice inflection off.
That's what it sounds like when it's off, whereas this, giant difference, listen.
Space voice inflection on.
Hear that?
Space
Versus
space voice inflection on.
I don't know what purpose it serves, but that's just an option, I guess.
Number pages off. Power reminder on. Ham calls off.
Ham calls.
Check up.
I'll put that
Space
on,
ham
actually.
calls on.
I don't know what that does fully.
Check appointments on. Word exceptions check on. Progress clicks on.
Progress clicks. I think you will hear some progress clicks at some point, but I can show those off eventually.
Make parameters file specific off. Speed words in say all mode off. Say SP values off.
I'm actually gonna turn this on.
Why say SP values on. Hourly announcement off. Allow folder mode off.
Allow folder mode. So it's a very interesting file structure. And originally you couldn't have folders on this, but they added it. But for support for people who were used to the one-dimensional file structure, you... Hi guys, I'm back. My phone just randomly decided to turn off there. So anyway, we left off on the allow folder mode, so I'll toggle that on.
Why allow folder mode on. Double speed off.
Double speed. Now this is interesting. So at the time of purchase, this doesn't have it. I'll try turning it on and you'll see
Why double speed off.
it stays off. This is because at the time of purchase, you could purchase a double speed chip that they would put onto the board. I don't know if it was a socketed chip or if it was soldered on from the factory, but this would essentially... I don't know if it only affected the serial ports or if it affected the whole system. I think it affected the whole system. It was basically like a turbo mode. Like old-fashioned DOS computers and older Windows computers, they had a turbo mode that could go fast or slow. So this was essentially a turbo mode that doubled the speed of the processor, I believe, which meant that transferring files or loading stuff took half the time, which was very nice.
PC editing off.
PC editing. This guy has PC editing off. I'll turn that on to insert, and you'll notice the voice increases in pitch.
PC editing on with insert at startup.
Actually, yes, PC editing on with insert at startup. This essentially means that there are three modes: insert mode, append mode, and override mode. Insert mode inserts whatever you write at exactly where the cursor is, similar to a PC. Off means it automatically appends to the end of document. There's also an append mode which does that in PC editing mode. There's finally an override mode. The override mode, essentially, if you place your cursor somewhere and type something, it replaces that character. And this was a relatively new feature, I think, released in 1998.
Braille display on.
You can toggle on and off the Braille display, and you can toggle on and off the
Speech on.
speech. I'm going to leave both on for now.
8-dot mode off.
8-dot mode. So this is good for typing Braille characters like the @ sign in computer Braille. However, it should be noted that I don't think that you can have the .7 and 8 keys act as backspace and enter when you have this on.
Serial tracking on.
Serial tracking. Don't know what that does, don't care.
Keyboard tracking on.
Keyboard tracking. This one I think I do know. It essentially allows you to move your keyboard around without moving where the cursor is. So you can review what you have without moving your cursor. But right now it's on.
Control chars off.
Control characters. I don't know what this one is.
Space control chars on. Space control chars
Control
off.
characters, I think it's more to do with the transmission of data as well as how it's read with other devices. I don't know.
Cursor always visible off.
You can make the cursor always appear or just stay hidden most of the time.
Word wrap on.
Word wrap. This tries to make sure that words aren't cut off on the display, but you can turn this off if you want to save space.
And display on carriage return off. Display all on. Grade 2 messages on.
Grade 2 messages.
Reverse advance off.
Reverse the advance bar, so by default on both of them, back is left and forward is right. But if you're like left-handed like I am, you may want to toggle this to where back is right and forward is left.
View in grade 2 on.
Lastly, view in grade 2. This means that a lot of the prompts you'll see will be in grade 2 if available. So that's the status menu. That was a long thing. I'll push Z chord or E chord to abort.
Exit.
Yeah, E chord is exit and Z chord is abort. However, E chord can also be used as your enter key, but Z chord cannot be used as an enter key. It is always your abort. It is equivalent to pressing escape on the keyboard. So I don't know why they have two different things. Ugh. So there are several menus on this, and several different things that I don't really have time to go into. However, something I would like to show is the programs and the whole options menu. And really quick, if someone wants to get the serial number off of this, you push the TH chord like you're opening the help file, but instead you go to the you push a P chord for parameters menu. This has a lot of shortcuts to all the things I had mentioned and shown in the status menu.
Enter parameter.
One of them is changing the language, which for this doesn't do anything because English is installed on both sides of the unit. Because this has, it's a lot like how Android has the A and B partition scheme for their system partition, but this you can switch to on the fly, and it can be used to store, I think, different settings and different revision dates and sometimes different languages. But if you want to get your serial number, you push the TH sign.
96-04135. Okay.
So it's probably from 1996. So there's the print, there's the transmit menu, there's the I believe there's the pull down menus, and then the best thing on this is this options menu. However, before that, I will go to
File is write protected.
here. I'll go to the speech parameters menu, which you can do by pushing an AR chord.
Set speech parameters.
Set speech parameters. So if you push space,
Vehicle words.
key echo words,
Click on. Silent is. Vehicle words.
I'll leave it on words. Now your dot one, your left side of the keyboard decreases things and your right side increases things. So you can make it
Softer. Louder.
you can make it
Slower.
or
Faster. Higher. Lower.
something interesting is you can have multiple different voices saved. You can switch between them with space with dots 5 and 6 or space with dots 2 and 3. If you want a quick switch between voices, you can also push a Y chord from anywhere in the unit and then type a number from 1 to 5.
Voice number 2.
Voice number 2. So now I'll do random customizations with the voice.
Louder. Softer.
Frequency. That's pushing dots 5 and 6 without the space bar to raise it, and 2 and 3 to lower it. So now it sounds all weird and stuff. So here's what it sounds like when the voice frequency is high and the voice pitch is high. This may peak my microphone. I don't know why you can do that, because it sounds somehow more demonic. Now let's try it highest frequency but lowest pitch. Here, I'll turn it louder. This one sounds kind of cool, actually. Now let's try it with highest pitch but lowest frequency. Alright. Oh. I don't know what. Okay, and finally, let's try the lowest pitch and lowest frequency together. This one sounds awesome. That click indicates you're at the bottom of the parameter.
Top of file. Braille Lite 40 file server 2002/2003 *** in functions backspace the dashboard uppercase new dashboard followed by
this voice is awesome.
Device number 3.
And one thing you can do is if you set adjacent voices like 2 and 3 totally opposite ends of the spectrum, like having voice number 2 be the lowest setting and voice number 3 be the highest setting, it does some very interesting things when you switch between them. Listen. Alright, so this is back to the really high voice, and now I'll switch from this very high voice to this very low voice.
Voice number 2.
As you can hear, it's a teenager and it had voice cracks.
Voice number 3. Voice number 2. Voice number 3. Voice number 2. Voice number 3. Voice number 4. Voice number 3. Voice number 2. Voice number 1.
Yeah, so here's the original voice.
Exit.
And, okay, finally, options menu.
Option.
You do that with an O chord. It says option. You can walk down the menu like you have been doing with .4 chord.
Check appointments. Braille display. Check
yes, this has like a planner appointment scheduler.
Braille display.
You can turn on and off the Braille display from here as well.
Calculator.
The scientific calculator, although there is a graphing calculator as an external program available for this unit.
Date. Open date, not file.
Date and time I couldn't really figure out because it's very inaccurate. This does have a calendar file though.
Date, not entry.
I think this is like an entry for the calendar. I don't really understand.
File comments.
File menu. I'll come back to this later.
Smart calendar.
Smart calendar. You can like see which day of the week a certain date was. You can do a lot of things like that.
Hourly calendar check.
Hourly calendar check. I don't use a calendar, so I don't know what this is. Sorry.
Calculate line.
Calculate line. If you just typed something like an equation, you can make this calculate the line you just wrote, and then I think you can insert that answer into your document.
Open the previously opened file. Open currently selected file. Open phone book.
Yes, this is like an address book. I don't know why, because you can't make calls or send emails.
Phone book.
Review mode. This is so that if you're reading something like a book or like a periodical, you can turn this on, and then you can navigate by pushing eight dots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 without pushing the spacebar. It just makes it easier.
Set time /8. Spell check.
That's where you can also set the alarm.
Spell check.
This unit is lucky. I was able to find the spell check file for this and load it onto it, so spell check actually works. If you want a demonstration of the spell check properly working, I'll try and link another video down in the description to show how the spell check works properly.
Time. Say countdown timer.
Countdown timer.
Uppercase proof mode.
I don't know what this one is.
Speech.
Speech on or off?
Toggle to D mode.
Toggle to D mode. I don't know what this is either. I'm very not good at this.
Braille writer keyboard.
Braille writer keyboard. This is so that you can use the backspace and enter keys, assuming 8 dot mode is off, of course. This is meaning that you can turn them from .7 and 8 input to backspace as .7 and enter as .8, like a Brailler.
Stopwatch.
Stopwatch. This one is very helpful, actually.
Windisk.
Windisk. This is how you load files onto it. Alternatively, you can go into the file menu and manually do it, and you have to worry about like hyper terminal or other crap like that. You have to transmit, you have to use different kinds of modems. It's wild. This is Windisk. So there was a program offered in the early 2000s by Freedom Scientific called Windisk for the computer. It's compatible with Windows XP and earlier, which is a shame because I would love to use it on newer computers. But you could just view the Braille Lite structure as a folder in your file manager. So it's kind of like their version of ActiveSync.
Execute program. Say alarm.
Execute program and say alarm. Say alarm just lets you verify if you set an alarm for the correct date.
Execute program.
Execute program. So I'll come back to this. You can do this by pushing an X. But for now, I'll push file menu.
Enter file command.
So enter file command.
Folder mode.
I push space to enter the folder mode.
Command.
And now I'm in the flash folder because there's flash and RAM. So I don't store anything in the RAM unless it's files I'm writing. But all the programs and important files like that are in here, the flash memory. Let's move to the top. There, we're at the top. There are several games and programs to do. And if anyone wants tutorials on them, I can easily do that. I already have a tic-tac-toe program demo up. And so there is a pull-down menu from here full of useful shortcuts for each action of the files menu. So you can scroll through these and click on them with the E chord to execute. Now, back to file menu. If you push a V chord, it says
file list 180 pages remaining 3462 K flash enter file command.
Yes. So 183 pages remaining. This unit, I believe, has 768 kilobytes. Wow, of RAM, whereas the original had I think 180 or 192 K of RAM, the original Braille and Speak, and could only support up to 42 files, and it didn't have any flash memory. Then they added flash memory later, and usually it's 2 megabytes, but these Braille Lite 40s have a whopping 4 megabytes of flash memory. Whoa! And so that's where I store all my programs. So there's a whole lot of programs in here, including a basic interpreter that I won't demonstrate right now, but if anyone's interested, I can try. Now, one of the things I do want to show is Simon. This is literally a Simon game on your Braille Lite. Executed by pushing X chord.
Press space bar to learn what the keys sound like, or any other key to start the game.
I'm not very good at Simon, so I like messing around with the sounds. Push spacebar.
Press .1, .3, .4, and .6 to hear their sounds. Press any key to exit learn mode and begin the game.
Okay. So the sounds from ascending order are... The police are after you! Okay, enough of that. So I'll push E chord to exit, and then I'll play one round. So it's doing Simon right now. Now let's see when we get one wrong, what sound it makes. This is...
The correct sequence was... Your score was 7. Press space bar to play again.
So play again. This sound is awesome. So let's push the wrong button and see again.
The correct sequence was... Your score was 1. Press space bar to play again, and the other key to exit. Okay, enter file command.
Okay, so now we're back at the file menu. So that's the main thing I wanted to show off program-wise. There's also a game called Bongo, which is an old-fashioned tunnel runner. That's very interesting and has its own documentation. I don't have time or sanity to go into that. I'm not very good at it. Alright.
Spell periodic. Name period set. S period bed. Bio period bed.
Yeah. So what I'll do, I'll go through all the programs I have installed on this guy. So Zap'em. I don't know how to play that, but it actually, hold on. It makes a really cool zapping noise.
Zap'em ready. Press LDP to begin.
I don't really understand this game one bit. You've got lines going down lines on the Braille display. And I can't tell if it's like Space Invaders or not. It just makes cool gun noises. Alright, let's exit that and turn it back on.
Braille Lite 40 ready.
Oh, something weird with the Braille Lite 40, not with any other note taker, is if you turn it on and off really fast, it gets stuck in a loop, and so
Braille Lite 40 ready. Alarm alert 1852. Okay to reset the alarm.
it sets the alarm for some reason, and it sounds like this. It's really annoying.
Why? Okay.
Anyways, that's a weird feature. So what I'll do to end the video is go down the programs menu and see if any of you would like to hi, sorry for that interruption. Now I'll quickly walk down the programs menu. File.
Flash dot zap3 zap empiri titiperia bls4 salperia bls sivalperia bls3 reclaimperia bls7 lectureperia bls6 chesperia bls7 mperia bls2 pages lecperia bls2 pages vilesuperia bls5 pages Helvelperia bls5 pages Bioperia bls10 pages external program Esperia bls4 pages Snaperia bls7 pages Spell periodic 86 pages Help 9 pages.
Okay, so those are all the files on here that are you could erase, but you could always reload them from the factory. You do need the special cables though. So that concludes this not so short review of the Braille Lite 40. If anyone has any questions, even years down the line, feel free to leave a comment because I'll probably still answer them. And yeah, so if there's anything else you would like demoed, there is one or two other videos on YouTube going over the functions of this guy. If you want a different voice or if you want a different take on this. Very popular note taker. It's one of my favorites. I say that as a Gen Z person who doesn't understand anything and has never grown up with these units, but a lot of people have, and a lot of people enjoy these. And I like these way better than the modern stuff we have on the market. So, yeah, this is a very cool piece of history. And again, I'm always welcome for any feedback on like what else I should do. I have a boatload of programs on my computer ready to be loaded onto any of these guys, so just let me know. With that said, this is the Braille Lite 40, and this is probably actually one more thing I'll do. File.
Flash startup flash folder.
I'll move to RAM. Scratch.
File is empty.
So, in conclusion, this is okay. In conclusion, this was a review of the Braille Lite 40, and